Good morning from Vietnam, everybody. My name is Joshua from Vietnam, and today we are going to be talking about it's time to hold your breath, so everyone go ahead and fill your cup with whatever bitter brew you're drinking. I've got Sash and a lot of technical issues going on today. How are you doing, Sash?
I'm doing good. This is much better than the Wi-Fi problems back at my place. So we'll have a much more fluid conversation today.
I hope so. I can see down in the bottom left that I'm still fighting some audio issues, so I got to keep an eye on your audio. We've got a new soundboard, and we are trying to stream from the same location today. So I've got a lot to learn here. It looks like one of the ports wasn't made for a condenser mic, so when I plugged in one of my mics, it was just buzzing the whole time. Today, I also am not having much luck getting my laptop to display through my capture card, so we might be without some visual effects. What have you been doing all this week, Sash? So far, I know we got Dan watching us from Louisiana. He's saying he's working out, so he probably can't type. But Dan, if you get a second to type, I'm really curious. I saw some hurricanes were hitting Louisiana. I'm wondering how bad they were. If you could, Sash's volume is low. All right, let me crack that up. Give us a test.
What's up? Is my volume low?
I'm turning mine down and turning yours up and going to boost our overall. Talk again, Sash.
Is this much better?
Yeah, you're
okay.
rocking better now.
I'll just talk directly into the mic.
Yeah, that's not the most expensive microphone, but it's the only dynamic microphone I had, and that's what the board seemed to need.
Okay.
So basically, the reason why we're doing this test right now and we're doing all this live instead of being sure that everything was working is tomorrow morning our time, tomorrow night your time, is the election day. Wait, it's 2 days.
Okay, Wednesday our time, which is November
Tuesday,
4th,
right,
is going to be
Monday.
November 3rd, your time.
Yeah, it's Monday. That's right.
So,
I did sober October, so nothing at all the way through October, and now I drank quite a bit on Sunday, so I'm feeling like half my week's gone. In reality, everything's just messed up for me. So, Sash, the news cycle has been crazy slow.
It's been very slow. Nothing is really going on, except though in Europe, in France.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us a little bit about what's going on in France. I've seen a little bit, and I've got some feedback, but tell the story real quick.
Basically, they had another Charlie Hebdo massacre, and then the French president refused to call out Charlie Hebdo like he defended them, and he said, "Well, that's their free speech to criticize that religion." So people got really mad and started protesting all over. In Pakistan, they went to the consulates and burned the French flag. In France, they burned a Macron puppet thing.
And they killed some people, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. That's what started it. Yeah,
I think I saw a teacher got killed. Is that right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I heard there was a beheading, but are any caliphates claiming ownership of this, or is it just one crazy Muslim?
Probably just one crazy dude, because it's like the caliphate has not been really active.
Speak right into it. You're still
basically, I said that the caliphate has basically been neutered since last year. They have no power.
So this is just more hatred. This is just more stirring up. Make the white people hate the Muslims. Make the white people hate the black people. Make the white people hate the brown people. It's the same thing we're seeing everywhere. It's just a different tune.
Basically, it's just the timing of this. You can tell it directly ties into the geopolitics.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're trying to have an excuse to push for globalism, and everybody's saying it's this nationalism that's doing it. And they don't really have hateful nationalists very much in the Western world anymore. So Well, damned if they ain't going to make some. And the best way to make white nationalists is all this BLM crap that's going on right now. If you're told on the news that black people need to burn down things in order to be heard, and then you see in the news black people are burning down things, you might start to not like black people very much. Same thing if you hear that Muslims are going to kill your children, and you hear that Muslims are going to steal your children, you turn on the TV and it says that Muslims are killing your teachers, your priests, and your children. Well, you're not going to like Muslims very much.
It's so manufactured. It's just,
Yeah, it's got to be.
of course, it's manufactured. Like, most people have sense.
It's absolutely got to be. We're seeing these isolated attacks in India too. You see this news article that was running all the way through in Pakistan about this 13-year-old girl who was raped by a 44-year-old Muslim, and then according to Sharia law, he needs to take her as a wife. So he basically kidnapped her, and it was all okay under Pakistani law because apparently the story is that she's consented. Yeah, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if this girl was groomed for years before this, or if it's just more news articles to make more good people hate people. And that's what we're seeing all the way through in every single dynamic, and it's why you came to me and you're like, I want our podcast to retire from politics after the election, right?
Yeah, I'm like not talking politics no more. It's retarded at this point.
I agree, and I love political sciences, and let's keep talking about theories and ideas. And
Theory fine, but like,
done with these clowns.
yeah, he's fucking like.
So, I don't have much to go over, and like I said, my screen share isn't working the way that I would want it to. But here's one story that I really do want to talk about, and I just think that this one is absolutely insane. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
The Texas early voting numbers have exceeded the total of all of 2016. Do you believe this? Have you seen this? What is this? No feedback?
I'm still trying to I'm still trying to figure out, like, does this help Biden or Trump more? Because Democrats do tend to vote earlier than Republicans do.
True, very
but
true.
Then again, though, Trump has way more enthusiasm than Biden does.
Yeah, I mean that's totally true, but I don't even know if these ballots are real human beings casting this. You guys can see my OBS coming up here because I'm working with one monitor and one screen. So my apologies. You're seeing a little bit behind the scenes here. We're trying to hold it together. Keep going.
Sorry.
No worries.
Let's look at the number of people that actually live in Texas, and let's compare that to the amount of ballots that have already been casted.
I'm pretty sure it's pretty small. Like, we know less than half of Americans vote, right?
That is true.
There's 30 million people in Texas, according to the Quick DuckDuckGo, and we're saying 9 million right here. So
that sounds reasonable.
Reasonable for early voting. That means in 2016, Trump v. Clinton, only 7 million, or did they say 6 million, of all of Texas pre-voting and day of voting, and they're at 9 million right now. Let's take a break, let that stew in her noggin real quick, because Dan's talking a little bit about the storms. I want to read that because it's really hard for me to get a gauge over here what's nonsense and what's like just CNN going, well, the storm's going to hit and it's going to be very bad, and then what might actually be real. So Dan says that they lost power 4 days with the hurricane, and there are still quite a few without power.
Where was this?
He's near New Orleans. I don't know specifically where.
Yeah.
He's Louisiana.
I did not hear about that.
Yeah, so he's Louisiana. I'm not sure how close to the water he is actually. I'm not sure if he's in the city or not.
Okay.
Quite a few without power. No substantial damage to the city infrastructure. This was maybe 1/100th of the problems we had in Katrina. But still no power for 4 days. That's kind of insane to me that 1/100th of Katrina can knock down a power infrastructure for 4 days. Have you seen the storms they say that are going on in central Vietnam right now?
Yeah, it's being downplayed.
It's being very much downplayed. We've got such a different government over here. Like, they want everyone to believe that everybody's happy all the time. I love them and respect them for it. They want Vietnamese to keep going on with Vietnamese lives. They're like, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain, right? Right now, we've got Trump on the
Yeah.
stage going, look at me, look at me, look at me. So it's pretty hard to know what's real and what's people going on for Facebook clout here, but it's on the opposite end. So what have you seen about the storms in central Vietnam, Seth?
Basically, it's displaced over at least 10,000 people in, I think, Da Nang, or
Yeah, that's what I've heard similarly, and I've seen pictures of flooding as high as roofs. Now, most Vietnamese farmhouses are only like 1.5 story tall, so maybe like that's 6 meters, maybe 5 meters.
but we have kind of felt it here though. Like the rainy season this year has not been typical the way it was in 2018 and 2019. This year's rainy season has been very inconsistent.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Vietnam's had a massively different rainy season, and I don't know if weather manipulation is involved. We could look to Indonesia to see if that's true. They've done some stuff specifically to Malaysia and Singapore when they were having bad trade deals, but it's definitely been a different one. So Dan's saying most of all this can't be that big of a deal. It's 1/100th of Katrina. Then
But you still had no power for 4 days and nobody.
I wonder how much that's government. Like, isn't the California government just doing roving blackouts right now because of the fires that are being started by humans?
Yeah, actually, that, and it's also the virus to the mayor of Los Angeles vowed to like revoke power from people who were having parties.
I heard that he vowed to do that, but I didn't see anyone actually do that. That looked completely like fear porn to me. What do you say about that?
We don't know. Part of me believes him.
Do you think that he'll actually do it? Or no, I'm saying, have you seen that it happened to anybody?
Not
my
yet, but I wouldn't put it past him to do it. I mean, it's California. He could get away with that there.
True. I mean, totally true. So here we're looking at the 2020 general election voting statistics. This is it's a guy who's basically written computer scripts that'll go in and crawl all the published data from governmental sources and then compile them here for us to read easily. So it's mind-blowing, man. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me. They're saying 95 million.
Jesus.
95 million.
How
Remember? Yeah, go ahead.
How many people, like, in total voted in 2016?
If you count the 5 million votes from California that probably weren't real, that put a Hillary ahead in the general, 67 plus 62. So 129 million.
We're about to outnumber that big time.
Well, I guess you're just gonna have to see me searching because my platform isn't so polished today. But let's go into this and search 2016 early voting statistics, because I really think that it was probably about 30 million or less last year. Oh, there's a DuckDuckGo tab just for statistics. All right, so electproject.org. I don't know how trustworthy this is right off the top.
Oh, fuck, they do it by states. I want to know the total number.
No worries. I might not have Excel on this computer. Daggone it. A direct link to the spreadsheet. Maybe that'll be a Google link. It is. So I should be able to make a copy of this and manipulate it rather easily. Make a copy. Okay. Might reveal an email address of mine here if I'm not too careful, but oh well. We're going to keep on going. So, 2016 total advance. We just want to sum of this right here.
Wait, no, isn't it saying it there though? 47 million.
Where? Oh, you're right. They
Yeah,
already did.
prob-
Yeah, you're
yeah.
right. Sorry about that.
Mine blipped, yeah.
I'm out of my element here because I'm totally not in my own tech setup. So I forgive the dead time and the bad radio that we're doing. 47 million was the total. So we are at double already. Okay, that's actually more than I thought, to be honest with you. I was thinking it was going to be about 30 million. I was thinking we were around triple. So we're at double of what we were in 2016, and Texas has exceeded their 2016 number. If Texas falls, right? Like we know this. We know that if Texas falls, Trump's chances are.
Yeah, he's not going to win if he loses Texas. I mean, what kind of fucking Republican loses Texas?
Do you think he'll ever concede in a world which he loses Texas? If Texas goes blue, Trump's just going to say unfair, 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 right?
He won't concede. He's going to leave it up to the Supreme Court.
So he leaves it up to the Supreme Court, where he's put on Gorsuch, he's put on Kavanaugh, and he's now just put on Barrett.
Yeah.
And how can the dude lose?
I mean, it's about trade-offs.
It's about trade-offs for what?
Basically, could the nation handle a second Trump term?
What do you mean by that? I mean,
The guy has gotten so toxic, man.
But he's always been toxic. How's it any different?
I just think it's gotten much worse this year, man. It's become overkill.
It's become overkill, but his fans haven't gotten bored of it. Talk for a second.
You're right, but a lot of his fans, man, they're starting to turn into the left in many ways.
But that's the whole point. That's the very idea. That's why they're doing this. That's why everything's happening the exact way that it's happening. Because when they're given reason to hate, then everything kind of just goes away. I guess I'll just hold my mic stand now.
Like they're turning into the leftists that they so despised back in 2016.
Yeah, they're their own version of social justice warriors now, as
Yeah.
long as the social justice fits what they want.
Exactly.
But that's literally exactly the point, and that's why I think that the powers that be could still want 4 more years of Trump, because Trump is divisive, and Biden is not. So
the one problem Biden will cause is the fact that media ratings will crash.
yeah, but I don't.
Basically, the only thing that the U.S. Media has going for it is Donald Trump. I mean,
You're just talking about politics. So who cares really? So CNN, you're saying CNN now wants Trump to win. You're saying Jeff Zucker wants Trump to win all of a sudden because he'll lose news numbers if Trump doesn't win.
yes, it's all about control, man. If these people lose control, that's not going to end well.
Keep talking. I need to fix this.
Basically, think of it like this: there are times in history where I think certain level of control over a population is necessary to keep the chaos at bay.
Are you circumstantially justifying totalitarianism?
A little bit, yeah.
So then build us a scenario in which totalitarianism is warranted and define totalitarianism as well.
Okay, totalitarianism is is basically the citizens have zero political rights. They have no say. They have none of that. Now,
No, that's a dictatorship.
okay. Define the difference between dictatorship and totalitarianism.
Totalitarianism is that the government has control over every asset of your life. They have total control, right? What pills you take, what clothes you wear, where
The
you go
U.S.
to work.
government already.
Okay, the point wasn't is U.S. government a totalitarian government or not. The point was the difference between a political science point of view. So a dictator is the one in which the people have no authority to choose. Authoritarian is when there's no way to appeal the government. And totalitarianism is how much the government controls. You
Okay.
could have I've almost got this mic stand fixed, so you got to go back to talking for a second.
Okay.
You can have a totalitarian democracy in which all the people have voted their own rights away. And so it's still controlled by voting, so it's a democracy. But the government, like, think 1984, right? It's all of them. It's dictatorship, it's totalitarianism, and it's authoritarianism all in one. That was why it was such a, it was the book that it was.
Okay. Fair.
I've almost got this fixed, so keep going.
No, but the example I was going to use is modern day China.
Okay.
Like what they have going on in China with their version of communism, I think is very practical for them. For them. I'm not advocating it for back home, but it works for the Chinese for now.
Do you believe the stories about the Uyghurs being led into concentration camps and, like, beaten until they're not Muslim anymore?
Half and half.
Half and half you believe it, you're saying?
Basically, I do think it's going on, but it's being overblown. It's kind of like Tibet.
Yeah, so
Like
I know most people, if you're listening from the West, you guys take the stories you hear about North Korea and you take the stories you hear about China just at face value.
Don't ever do that. It's
But-
not as bad as they say it is. It's
Oh, okay. Dan's asking me to talk about the difference between totalitarianism, dictatorship, and authoritarianism. So I'll go into that. Yeah, the thing that you should look into is the stories of all the escape guys. If you're totally sold that China's killing the Uyghurs, you totally think North Korea is a prison country. Look at all the stories of people who escape and listen to their stories through the years. They all have holes in it. The teacher. Did you hear about the teacher who just escaped the Uyghur nation? She was kidnapped, and then she had to teach the Uyghurs how to be good Chinese people. So, like, she said that her family was in the concentration camp as victims, and then she said she met her family after she crossed the border, and then a year later she said she left her family in China. And so it's little things like that where she doesn't know how many miles she traveled. She doesn't remember which country she goes into first.
okay. That's sketchy.
Yeah,
you have
there's-
to know what country you go into. I mean,
Yeah, where you
especially in
claim
that
refugee
part-
status is what I think she
in that
messed up.
part of the world, like, they take borders seriously there.
Right. So there are, and then the same thing if you look into the soldiers that escaped from North Korea into South Korea. There's always something wrong with their backstory. They're always, like, really sick and need an operation, and then they disappear. Or, like, wait a second, they were in South Korea 10 years before that. Why is that? So it's interesting. There's a lot of inconsistencies with all these China bad and North Korea bad stories that we're reading in CNN. It's just like everything else. They're lying to you. So to go back into Dan's question, so totalitarian is when a government has total control over the people. There are no areas they're not allowed in. Even Roe v. Wade was kind of an anti-totalitarian viewpoint because they were saying the government can't intervene, is the way that the precedent lies anyway, can't intervene in this right of privacy that's implied, right? We say a man's home is his castle, and anything I say out loud in America, I can't be punished for. Whereas the government here has the authority to be totalitarian. If they wanted to punish me for something I said in my room, I could. They could. 1984 is a story of totalitarian, where the government has control over every asset of your life. Remember the TVs they had in the room in 1984 that go watch them. Remember, he wasn't even allowed to buy a book that had blank pages. Then there's authoritarianism. That means that the government's rules can't be appealed. There's no way to undo government rules. Our government by nature isn't authoritarian because the way that we have it, whether you believe it's corrupt or not is a different argument, but you can appeal a law to say, hey, is this constitutional or not? Right? The Constitution has the ultimate power.
Okay, but okay. Well, what if they get involved behind the scenes before it goes to court?
Well, you're talking about ways that a government can be corrupted to give individual authoritarian power, and sure, that's happening. But the judges that we have should be fighting against authoritarianism, because if Congress makes a law that's insane, those 9 judges can undo it, and they're different human beings is the important part from a government point of view, right? You're right, the 9 judges could be beholden to the senators. I don't know if I believe that, but it's possible. I think they're more beholden to ideologies. I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg was beholden to the leftist agenda, not to Nancy Pelosi, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's
So
like we still have the Patriot Act. We still have the National Defense Authorization Act.
Yes.
I mean, those should have been struck down a very long time ago.
Sure.
And in 2017, it was Trump who kind of renewed another version of the Patriot Act.
Right.
And he used the crutch of a human trafficking and saving the children.
Right. All the Q-tards were raving and screaming,
Yeah.
and I understand. And in all honesty, if giving up some totalitarian control could put an end to the trade, I might be willing to gamble that. But we know that the trade's not ended.
No.
We know that it probably didn't even put a damper.
They're just being transparent now because we have these things called hackers and WikiLeaks, and so like they're exposing themselves now. So when it really comes out, nobody will really care, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that's spot on. And so the final of the 3 would be the dictatorship. And the dictatorship means there's no way to replace them. You can have a democracy that votes in authoritarian leaders. You can have a totalitarian democracy. You can't have a dictatorship that's a democracy. Like even the left's already talking about what are they, democratic socialists? Is that what they are, right?
Like that.
So depending on how much they understand about socialist ideology, a big group of socialists want to get rid of property rights as a whole. No property rights. You can't own anything, right? Everything is ours. The death of the individual is what needed to happen according to socialist writers. So that can be voted in. But a king can't be voted in, right? The king's word is law. He rules by divine decree, right? They say that their bloodline was special, the divine monarchy. So they were, in essence, dictatorships. Castro wasn't really a dictatorship. He got voted in. Go ahead.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought he took power.
Well, I mean, he did, but when his party took power, they held elections, and he was the one that won them, right? So you can argue whether the elections were fair, and then you go into a totally different conversation. But what about like what happened in Belarus not too long ago, where the elections?
Oh, shit, I forgot about that.
How do you forget about that? So,
dude, holy shit! God damn it!
right. So
That was like not even 2 months ago.
yeah, the elections happens, and the socialist overwhelmingly wins, and everyone's like, well, the socialists can't win out of democracy. That's the opposite of democracy. So
Like he won.
he won. No, he totally won. But then the U.S. government was like, no, he didn't. Hold elections again. So the CIA is paying all these rebels to come out and protest and scream and scramble, and then they hold elections again, and then the socialists won in a landslide again. And now the rest of the world's like, huh. And then, like, I was all wondering what Trump was going to do, but like you said, everyone freaking forgot. We moved on with the world.
No, but during this time though, here's what did happen this year, and I'm gonna like backtrack because like that's how fast the news cycle works now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like this year. Here's what's happened. In January, Kobe died,
Right.
and people completely forgot about that.
And he was buried in Corona, California.
Well, and then in fucking July, China officially took over
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Right, and nobody cared.
I mean, it was already theirs.
I
It's
mean,
like me telling you I'm gonna take my beer back.
okay, fair, but you get why the people of Hong Kong don't want to be controlled by China. I mean,
I do, but I don't get why the people of Hong Kong think they're not controlled by China. And I don't get why the people of Hong Kong think they're not China. Like, they were never British. Hong Kong's never been a country, and their country was sold to China.
in
And
1999, right?
I thought it was a little bit before that, but definitely the 90s.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so China said there would be this, China out of their own grace said there would be like this division, right? This separation
Yeah.
of Hong Kong and state. But they were under no legal obligation. And remember, the United States doesn't even recognize Taiwan as a country. Still.
Oh shit.
So Trump said that he might do in 2015, and then a bunch of Trump's trademarks got approved in China, and then he said, nah, one China's cool.
Okay. Okay.
So probably a little Trump corruption there would be my guess. Not that
Do you think maybe he negotiated a better trade deal, and in return, he turned a blind eye to them taking over Taiwan?
I think Trump saw a lose-lose situation with going against China for the sake of Taiwan. Maybe there's a time to go with China. And then I think Trump, being the man that he is, found a way to profit on his inevitable decision. My guess is the man was going to cave to the one China policy regardless, and
Okay.
then was like, hey, maybe I can get something more out of it. That's my honest guess. I don't think there was...
We talked about a secret Chinese bank account, right?
It wasn't secret. No. Like, he opened that bank account in 2015 because he was going to build a hotel there. Like, I remember being in Philippines in 2015 and watching land get cleared from a Trump tower, excuse me. Like, Ivanka really was tearing it up. She was the international businesswoman in Trump organization prior to being led onto the White House team, which is why she went to the UN and led the White House team. Everyone's like unqualified. Actually, she's been handling all of the Asian, Middle Eastern, and Eastern European Trump deals for the past 5 to 10 years before 2016. Ivanka's a hell of a businesswoman. Now, her husband, not a big fan of him. But once again, he's good at getting what he wants. He got Trump to move the embassy to Jerusalem like that. And his Brotherhood of Brotherhood of the Star of Remfam. I don't want to say their name on YouTube, but you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
The six-sided star, same as above, same as below. Are Z people.
Okay.
So these Z people are running around. Yeah, like you said, the peace deal that's going on in Sudan, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, Bahrain, right? Like, make sure the poor Muslims are killing these Christians in Europe, and make sure the rich, these people and Arabs, can get along just fine. And it's absolutely ridiculous, and it pisses me off because Christians and Muslims live peacefully together forever. Look at Turkey, up until these blue star waving motherfuckers show up. And it's just like that every single time. And the political organization that is leading Israel right now is pure and utter cancer. That's how I feel about that. And I'm not anti-Semitic. I love Palestine and love Palestinians. So,
God.
no, it's frustrating.
He goes on one of these rants at least twice a week.
I've got so many of my friends, like wonderful, good people, who are going rah 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 against the Muslims, and it's heartbreaking. It's like, The Muslims who read the Quran and try to take care of their family are not your enemies. And your enemies are around. It's not them. But these refugees, Owen Benjamin, who's a disgraced comedian who's awesome and crushes regularly, was making this point the other day about how
Was he disgraced?
because he called this guy in Hollywood, I can't remember his name, like Jesse Thorne or something. He called him a child abuser for giving hormone blockers to his 6-year-old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so CAA, which is the organization that represents Jordan Peterson, by the way, then cut him because he wouldn't apologize for calling someone a child abuser. Like I said, he crushes regularly.
Okay.
So on Owen Benjamin, you can catch him at Unauthorized TV or on Instagram. I think he's still on Instagram. He was making this really valid point about imagine if the news started to call everything the cartels did as just Christians, right? Because most of the cartels carry around a rosary. Most of them come from Catholic homes, right? And so they're Christian in the same way that these Muslim terrorists are Muslim, right? These guys aren't reading the Quran every day and trying to find enlightenment through words of Muhammad. These guys aren't reading about Jesus and respecting him as a rabbi, such as the Muslim teaching, right? These guys are out for war and out for political gain, and they're terrorists. And the definition of a terrorist, not what Henry Kissinger says. The real definition of a terrorist is someone who tries to influence politics or social culture using terror, right? My mom was a terrorist. She tried to influence my behavior based on making me feel terror. So it's the same kind of thing. And the cartels are the same. The cartels sell protection like the old gangs of Chicago. They make sure that no one can sell drugs except them in certain areas and other products as well, right? Look at your arm just floating in space. Crazy. And the truth is they all wear rosaries. So imagine if the news just reported 17 Christians beheaded 4 Mexican Americans today in Oakland. And then these purple Christians shot at these red Christians over in the South Bend, and everybody's dead. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
I need to get some water. Talk for a second, Sash.
But yeah, back to his point, it's like most of these religions, they preach the very similar things. It's just the narrative. The narrative is all that matters. If the narrative around Hinduism or Christianity was that they're all vile, despicable terrorists, some of them would end up becoming vile, despicable terrorists.
It's not so much that. It's the fact
I
that
think
they need.
it's exactly that because then you have people who will treat them that way. Then
That
some
doesn't
of them
make
will
someone go and kill people. You don't make terrorists by thinking Muslims are terrorists. Like,
but it plants the seed.
no, it doesn't, because people who are grounded in these religions, people who study Christianism or Hinduism or the Quran or study the Bible, right? They already have a grounding. Their grounding is that holy text. So you can't just make people into it. Now, what you can do, and they've already done with Christians, right? Like, it's very popular to kill Christians, and it's very popular to mock and to make fun of Christians in most parts of the world. Christians are very much hated in the United States right now, so they don't need to do much damage to them. But Muslims were the religion of peace, so they need to come in, and it's not about the narrative, because these people doing these acts, like you said, they're false flags, they're planned, they're this and that. They're starving refugees who have been lied to and sent to France with no money, and they were told that they would get a house and unlimited money once they got there, and so they're pissed off. And they're already criminals, and they're already homeless people, and probably some of them already have mental illnesses. And then because they come from a Muslim nation, you're like, oh, well, these people are Muslim because that's the only religion they've ever been taught. Like going to church every day, sitting in the back of the pew, and being raised in America does not make you a Christian. Studying the Bible and trying to live like Christ is what makes you a Christian. And it's the same way to be a Muslim. Is you need to try to live in accordance to the Quran's law, and you need to live in accordance of what Muhammad wrote for his life. And that's not running caliphates for political power and worldly wealth. And rant. And rant, I said.
Okay.
But and also we can go into the same thing with Hinduism. The average Hindu, or every Hindu that I've ever met, isn't these seething Indian nationalists that are portrayed on the news. But I do have some Hindi friends who are nationalists, and right now they have very anti-Muslim rhetoric. And it's not because they have hate in their heart towards Muslims, but because they actually believe that that the Muslim religion is infiltrating their nation to kill them all. And it's that is the narrative that's being pushed. That, oh, it's the Muslims doing that. It's the Christians doing this. It's the Hindi nationalists doing this. Is there anyone? I guess the Buddhists are kind of getting off right now. They're not doing anything.
The Buddhist extremism got bad in like 2015 when they.
Tell me about this. I don't know.
It was in Myanmar.
Okay.
It was
Were they responsible for the change of regime that happened in Myanmar?
I'm not entirely sure, but Buddhist extremism does exist.
Okay.
It's why Tibet is so controlled, because Tibet follows a very primitive version of Buddhism.
Tibet are the ones with the Dalai Lama, right?
Yeah, the Dalai Lama's a scumbag.
Well, there are two, right?
Okay.
Because China kidnapped one when he was like 6 or 7, and then hid them, and then told everyone they killed him, and then there was a second public Dalai Lama. Is that
Basically,
right?
there's this thing called a Pancham Lama and a Dalai Lama.
Okay, go on.
The Pancham Lama is the guy that becomes the Dalai Lama once the Dalai Lama dies. Now, this Pancham Lama was chosen by the Chinese government. They weren't chosen.
Right, but they kidnapped a kid and then said that they killed him. That was how they got to choose him. I bet you keep talking. Explain your
I'm
story.
not sure about that, yeah.
You keep talking about the difference between the Pancham Lama. I'll find it online and pull it up. But keep talking. Give good radio. We got 13 minutes left.
Yeah.
So,
hi, Mom. I know you're watching.
So you said before that you said that there was Buddhist extremism in 2015. So continue with that point, please. What happened in 2015? I totally missed that.
Basically, let me research this. It had to do something with the Muslims.
They were actually against the Muslims. The Buddhists were rising against the
something
Muslims?
like that. Something like that.
Yeah. So
It had to do with the Rohingya stuff. Like the many people in Myanmar wanted the Rohingya gone.
okay.
So yeah.
Well, we know that it doesn't matter if the religion is pacifist or not, because the Hindus really are getting pulled into their own hateful group right now.
Yeah,
with the Indian nationalists.
Yeah.
And I know self-professed Indian nationalists who do not have hate in their heart. But like I said, this narrative of the Muslims bringing the end of the world really is getting to them. And one of my really good friends here, one of my favorite interlocutors, like just the best guys to talk with, is a Muslim. And he's one of the Muslims that studies the Quran regularly, right? And so these guys like him really make you understand why places like Istanbul can exist, where Christians and Muslims lived in peace for ages.
Thousands of years. Well, no.
Yeah, there haven't been Christians for thousands of years. We're pretty new.
Yeah.
And so I guess so is Islam as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. So for hundreds and hundreds of years, because the Muslim morality fits right in with the Christian morality of protect your home, protect your family, protect your community, protect your culture. And you see that also in the Hindi morality, and you even see that you definitely see that in the Buddhist morality. And it all coexists. There's only one religion out there, and that would be the oral Torah of the Abrahamic religions, and the oral Torah, not the ones written down. So the Babylonian Talmud that was first penned in like 250 AD, where actual enslavement and actual hatred was conceived. And now we're seeing this narrative go out in all other religions, not just Abrahamic ones.
Do you think people will learn? Do you think we'll get over this? All 7 billion of us collectively.
Well, now we go into what I really think is going to happen next. So I do believe that they're moving forward towards a new world order, like Bush promised us. I do believe there are evil men whose main goal is to create a one world government. The question is, how successful are they going to be, right? Because what they want, I think, is a one world religion. They want to combine Christianity, Islam, scientism, and all these to make this docile cattle-like people that will just worship the state, essentially, go to work, pay their tithes, and be done with it. I do think they want to take a little bit out of Christianity here, a little bit out of Islam here, a little bit out.
The best.
Well, I mean, so I'm a Christian, so I'm pretty politicized and polarized on this, because I think if you're not worshiping God, you're worshiping an enemy, right? Whether it's the enemy or an enemy is semantics. But when you look at the what's his name, Joel Osteen, I think the super famous Christian pastor with the 3 flames, right? And we see those 3 flames are the symbol of the light bearer, which is who we call Lucifer, the enemy. And so the idea would be that once you take these little bits of truth out of all these religions, you're just making a control device. You're not making a tool for enlightenment. You're making a tool for the opposite.
Okay, fair.
I believe that much of mainstream Christianity and much of mainstream religion in general has been delegated to this task of making the Christians docile and not a threat. I think that the church right now is designed to make us Christians so lethargic we never study the Lord's Word. Because when we don't study the Lord's Word, we're not dangerous. We're just, oh, well, God loves you and He'll forgive you, and if you don't do bad things, you won't go to hell. And that's the end of it, you know? And it's some nonsense. So take a look at here. This is Gedem Chikoy Niemi, who was born in 1989, and then he was dubbed the Dalai Lama, I guess the 14th Dalai Lama in 1995. Is the 11th Pancham Lama, oh, you're right, announced by, you're right on the money, I'm sorry. So he's the 11th Pancham Lama, and he was announced by the 14th Dalai Lama, so I guess that's some of their checks and balances. Okay. And then 3 days later, he was kidnapped, supposedly, by the Chinese government. And that's what let them, my water cooler turned the TV off. That's what let them name the new Panchen Lama.
Okay.
So there are some theories that he remains forcibly detained 25 years later. Because remember, he's only like 2 years older than me. Born in 1989, right? So he's only 31. So there are rumors that he's still alive in China, and he is the Dalai Lama, or the Panchen Lama. And then there are theories that he's dead, and there's another recognized one, I think.
Or what if they just sent him abroad and like made him like be raised by a family of like lied to him about who he about who he is.
That seems awfully kind and merciful for the Chinese government. Why wouldn't they just kill him?
Maybe.
Well, I guess never mind, because if they kill him, he reincarnates, right?
I was called the Streisand effect. Like, you can't let the cover-up be the worse than the crime.
True,
Because
but also he
they can't get away with killing a 2-year-old child. I mean, that's
right. I mean,
no government could.
What?
no government could get away with killing
a 2-year-old child. Do you know that like
I mean,
2
we
million,
bomb
2 million American babies are killed every year? Like, why can we kill them at 8 months and 9 months? Why can we kill them in post-birth abortions, but we can't kill them at 2?
Okay.
I'm sure our government's killed 2-year-olds. I'm sure.
Okay, you have a point there. Okay, that's a fair point. That's a fair fucking point.
Audio low for both of us right
Okay.
now.
Sorry, is that better? Is that better?
I bought a brand. Dan, you and I were talking about different sound equipment. I bought a brand new board that can try to handle 2 microphones at the same time, and I'm having a lot of trouble with it.
Hey Dan, can I ask you something? Does my voice sound weak like this or what?
I think you're good now. If you look at our levels, we are going into the yellow just then.
All right.
So
I have to like speak into the microphone more then.
Yeah, you can watch your level here as well, Sash.
Okay.
So you want to keep them pretty much high green or yellow all the way around.
Okay. But not red.
Yeah, not red. Once we get red, we'll start to get fuzz in our voice, and we'll get a little distortion. I appreciate you bearing with us, Dan. But as Jason Lindgren from The Secrets of Saturn says, if you know everything you're doing on your first podcast, you've waited too long. So Sash and I are definitely trying to figure things out as we go, and we're really excited for Wednesday.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna
Bollywood.
We're gonna be at Bollywood. If anyone's in Vietnam listening to us, come by 207 Buoy VN. We'll have a hot mic there. I'll get the mic situation a little bit better than it is today, and we'll just be streaming the election. We'll be having wonderful amounts of fun.
And some nice food. Oh God.
We'll have nice food. I don't know what you guys will have.
I really want some tikka masala right now.
Dan's saying it's much better when we talk into the mic, so we need to not be forgetful about being right in front of our mic.
Okay. All right.
The mounting points on the mics, learning totally in a new environment today, so we're learning as we're going. So one more thing I want to get into. This is another thing that Owen Benjamin hit on, and I was just there with such, oh my gosh, yes moment. It's you and I already talked about this too. It's Sacha Baron Cohen and his Borat 2. So there are 2 major appearances in that movie of. Go ahead.
Rudy Giuliani and Mike Pence.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been trying to look more into it because what Big Bear asserted, Owen Benjamin asserted, is that he's got experience in this, right? He's not just asserting it with no ground. He did a season, I think, with The Impractical Jokers. Do you know that show?
I never watched that, no.
Okay. Have you heard of it?
No.
All right, so the premise is it's basically 3 guys who are on mics and then 1 guy with an earpiece in, and they basically make that guy do stuff.
Okay.
And so the 3 comedians are telling him awkward things to do to try to make the funniest scenario. So
it's like a who's the line, is it?
Except they're in the public.
Okay.
So they're interacting with public and unknown people as opposed to whose line is it anyway where it's totally on stage.
I missed that show.
Yeah, it was a good one for a while.
That was fucking awesome.
You're definitely helping, Dan. I greatly appreciate you giving us the feedback.
Thanks, Dan.
We wouldn't even know what we need to fix if you weren't calling it out for us.
Thanks, man. Much appreciated, Dan.
He just said, I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to help. Dan and I were actually emailing back and forth about equipment because our soundboard and my little cheap one that does 1 mic in there, which I got for like $5-10 here, was like $40 on Amazon.
Jesus.
Yeah.
We're the same one, like
same China. Well, there's no brand, right? Like these are all Chinese reference boards. So basically, the manufacturer who makes the main chip called the DSP will design a very quick board to give its customers an idea how to use it. Basically, a sample of how to use it. Okay. So then the Chinese, like the mass-produced factories, are like, oh, okay, just make the thing that they designed. And the guy who made the chip is happy as can be because they're going to buy their chip, and they're chip sellers, not box sellers, right? So
okay.
this one is probably the same kind of thing. We could probably find a lot of companies that make this exact soundboard because it's a DSP with 2 channels. Now, it seems to be the thing I didn't know is it only can do 1 dynamic mic and 1 condenser mic. So a condenser mic needs 48 volts of power sent to it.
What exactly is the difference between a condenser mic and a dynamic mic?
So a condenser mic needs power sent to it, and
Okay.
a dynamic mic doesn't. So
Okay.
if you have an amplifier for your guitar, you're going to be able to hook a dynamic mic directly into it.
I see.
But if you're going into a soundboard that's pumping power at 48 volts, like the famous Shure mics that everybody sings into, the 800s that just are the bread and butter of every vocalist mic, if you hook that up to your computer or you hook that up to an amplifier, there'll be next to no sound because there's no phantom power on it. There's not that 48 volts. So it sounds like one of these outputs is giving us phantom power. One of them isn't, but luckily I had my feathers numbered for just such an occasion. So going back here, we're already at the 30-minute mark, but we usually talk 10 minutes over. Going back here into Rudy Giuliani and Mike Pence, Owen Benjamin was on Impractical Jokers and also on the TV show for MTV called Punk'd. So my main point about telling you his 2 credentials there are the fact that he dealt a lot with public in candid camera situations. So the assertion is that Rudy Giuliani and Mike Pence would need to sign release forms for Borat 2 to be able to use their faces in this for-profit movie that he's selling on Amazon Prime. If they didn't sign release forms, they should be able to get an injunction from the court and stop all production of this video, which they would want to do because it paints them both in a very stupid light. In one situation,
especially
Giuliani in a much worse light than Pence.
How could he be that stupid? I mean,
Closer.
what Giuliani did was stupid. Like, sure, having interviews in hotel rooms are actually a very common thing.
Hold on. He started the interview in the restaurant and then followed the girl to her hotel room for a drink.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's the president's personal
He's
lawyer.
the president's fucking lawyer. God damn it.
Like, Sasha and I know if some girl approaches us
Especially
and it's
if
like,
she's
hey,
underage. What the fuck?
Rudy Giuliani didn't. I mean, there's no evidence that he thought she was underage.
Okay.
But
okay,
it doesn't
fair.
matter. You're 70 years old and she's obviously in her 20s. And what do you not want to be caught in while you're the president's attorney? And that would be a compromising situation.
Yeah.
So say no. Say no. Look at the girl and say no. It's a dumb idea. Like, imagine if Rudy Giuliani, with his level of self-control, just walked down GMfVN, which is a street famous here, where, like, what's going to happen as you walk down this, if you're a man of any age, is about 60 to 70 bar girls or chicken girls are going to come out to you and say, hello, you buy something? Hello, you want drink? Right? And
hello, you boom.
eventually, they'll get there. They want to make some money selling drinks before they make money selling themselves.
Yeah.
So calm down. But eventually, after a drink or two with Rudy Giuliani, they're going to say, Rudy Giuliani, would you like to follow me to my hotel room with a drink or to get more drinks? And Rudy Giuliani is just going to say yes. Like, this is the level of self-control the attorney for the President of the United States has. This is a problem.
Yes.
And so then let's believe that he did sign the release form.
Why on earth would you sign that release form?
And if you didn't sign the release form, why on earth didn't you file an injunction to get the movie pulled? You know, like what lawyers do, because, you know, you're a
fucking
lawyer.
Yeah.
And now let's go into Mike Pence, right? You're right, it's not as bad for Mike Pence.
No.
But number one, if the whole Q-tard narrative is true, where everybody's trying to assassinate Trump, but a random Israeli comedian can get access 15 feet away from Mike Pence, dressed as Donald Trump, with a teenage girl over his shoulder.
That wouldn't fly.
Like, if that's possible, he could smuggle a gun in. If he could smuggle that girl in dressed as Donald Trump to CPAC, he could smuggle a gun in. Like, where do we try to go in Vietnam where we get searched? Anywhere? Like you go to a courthouse in America and they check you.
I think if you go to a consulate here, they might search you depending on the country.
I've been to the American consulate here, and the Marines search you. Like,
wait, they're Marines.
Yeah, true.
Oh shit.
Yeah. They guard the consulate here and the U.S. Embassy in Hanoi. We're in Ho Chi Minh.
I did not know it was the Marines who guarded that.
There are some border patrol guys that just walk around in brown shirts. A lot of them are usually Viet Q, so they'll speak Vietnamese, but they'll be English. They'll be American. Obviously, they'll speak English, but they'll be American citizens, and they'll look Vietnamese pretty much. But
you don't really get searched here. Like if you do a border run to Cambodia, they barely pat you down.
Nothing.
Yeah, they don't.
You could smuggle anything you wanted into Cambodia by the land border here, and I've made a trip with contraband on me. Domestic in flights, they don't even search you domestic in flights. International flights are the only place you really get heavily searched. It's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
But my point is
you good?
Yeah, I'm just thinking like the amount of security it would take to just identify, hey, don't let this guy dressed as Donald Trump with a teenage girl over his shoulder in to see Mike Pence. Like, that doesn't seem like that much security to me.
But also, like, well, what if the Secret Service, given their intelligence apparatus, wouldn't they have known that the guy was Sacha Baron Cohen? I mean, he trolled Trump when he did Ollie G.
Yeah, but Trump handled it fantastically, unlike everyone else. Like, Trump just realized he was being trolled, and he got up. He realized he was being trolled, and he got up and walked out. Like, you wasted the president of the United States' fucking time.
No, that was 2007.
Sorry, a candidate for president of the United States. It was
2007.
Oh, that was 7?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I thought that was 15.
Long ass.
That was 2007. The ice cream bit was 2007.
Yeah.
The what does everybody like music, and then ice cream. That was 2007.
Yeah, dude. It might have been even 2005.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
It came out right around the time Borat came out. So yeah,
that was 2008, I think. So yeah, it must have been. So we're gonna switch over here right before we end on this point because I wanna show this picture. Oh no, I really don't like any news website. They just try to give you all these ads and nonsense. Here we go, a little bit of OBS because you're bearing with me. I don't know. I can't tell that's Sacha Baron Cohen.
I mean,
but why did they let him in? How did he get 15 feet away from the Vice President of the United States if the Q-tard narrative that the deep state is trying to kill Trump at any turn they get? How did he get 15 feet away from the Vice President of the United States while holding that girl dressed like that? And how do you convince me that he could do it like that, but he couldn't do it? He couldn't do it wearing a gun. These are my questions.
Well, a gun isn't a girl, though.
What does that have to do with it, bruh?
No, like you're comparing the girl with a gun.
I am, yes.
Okay, like...
What? Why?
If he brought a gun in, they would have stopped it.
Have you ever tried to carry a gun?
No.
Okay, well, I have, and they're much easier to carry than girls.
Okay, fair.
They're easier to conceal. They're easier to move while carrying.
A shotgun. Sorry.
Any gun. And a shotgun is still easier to carry than an adult human female, to clarify.
Fair.
Like, maybe not a Vietnamese adult human female, but that adult female, she's thick. So my point is that he is more likely to get noticed and stopped. Nobody's going to let you interrupt. You're saying everyone at CPAC was in on the joke? And, like, so he's like, go ahead, Sacha Baron Cohen, like, go troll Mike Pence, go troll our vice president at CPAC, the Republicans-only convention.
That, and you also have to remember the coronavirus made this a very small convention.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know what the Republicans did, whether they just told the coronavirus people to suck it or what. But yeah, you're right. It's a very small convention. Well, so my point, what I'm ending on, guys, is I do think Q's right about one thing, and that's you're watching a movie.
You are. You're
And
watching a movie.
now you have to pay for the movie that is your life called Borat 2, where real scenes of Mike Flippin Pence and Rudy Giuliani sign consent forms to appear in well, the movie has no injunction. I don't know what else to take, what else to assume, but they signed consent forms. And if they didn't sign consent forms, go ahead.
Maybe it's a distraction.
It is a distraction.
Everything is a distraction.
It is a distraction. I mean, everything we're being told is a lie, and we need to search for the truth in
Not
the world. But you want to stay
not
away
all.
from flat Earth on this podcast, so we won't go there.
Sometimes they tell the lies in unique ways.
Sometimes they tell the lies in unique ways, sure.
I mean, they tell you the truth in very unique ways.
Yeah, like lies in the newspaper, truth on TV, that kind of thing. You mean?
Okay, it's like how Trump. Okay, it's like the source, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like Trump is right when he says that 99% of people that get this virus don't get sick, but leftists don't believe that. See, he's telling you the truth, but you don't believe him because of the source.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, that's true. So yeah, that's true. And when they tell you the truth, they're telling you it's a lie. But I mean, my point is they're trying to build the black pill. They're trying to build fear, and we have got to, like you said, retire from it. We gotta divorce ourselves from this nonsense and this stupidity that is politics. I didn't vote this year for the first time in my adult life. I didn't vote.
I will never vote in my life again.
Have you ever voted?
Yes, in 2016.
You voted for Clinton?
No.
That Gary Lonson? Larry Gonson?
No, I wrote in Kanye.
Wrote in Kanye. All right. I wonder if he's gonna take it this year.
No, it was Harambe.
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 The gorilla that got killed for almost slaughtering a child. Oh yeah, and that was when I knew the world was lost. When it was like, don't kill the gorilla. It was only a 3-year-old.
No, but those were such fun times though. Before the world really went to shit.
Hey man, there are some meme theorists who think that Harambe was the beginning of it all. I definitely think that LeBron James was put on. LeBron James, is that the right one this time? Who died? Kobe Bryant. Yeah, LeBron James isn't dead yet. Kobe Bryant was put on the altar and sacrificed at the beginning of 2020 to bring in this craziness. But we're not done yet. My official prediction is that Trump will lose on election night, and he will deny the reality, and we will go into just weeks and weeks of nobody knowing anything. And this super fast news cycle is going to come down to a bitter, painful, slow crawl. What's your prediction, Sash? Let's sign out.
I think Biden wins and the Republicans and the Supreme Court turn on Trump.
Biden wins, the Republicans and the Supreme Court turn on Trump. Do you think he'll
Yes.
concede? Do
No.
you think on election night? Do you think we'll drink till a winner has declared?
He's not going to concede, and this is going to last a very long. I mean, it's going to last like 1 month, but
Yeah,
it's
December 13th, I believe, is the longest it can last.
But if I was like Mitch McConnell or Ted Cruz or Amy Coney Barrett, and if I knew that Trump lost for a fact, I would save my own ass, and I think if the Republicans turn on Trump, it could actually unify the country in many senses.
So, Dan, real quick, you're saying that your money is on Trump. Do you think he's going to win it outright on the 3rd? Do you think we're going to see an election winner? Do you think he's going to come out and make a victory speech? Or do you think he'll win in the long run through legality and court systems? I want to hear Dan's input on this. Dan, you are the wind beneath our wings. You're probably our most loyal watcher so far. I really appreciate the encouragement and the tips and the advice. You're calling us out as we learn how to do this.
Thank you so much, Dan.
I think we're going to have more fun getting into better topics once we can. There's really, it's hard to cover anything but politics because the world's going to be a different place on Friday, guys.
On Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday night for us, but like Friday, I was drawing it all out.
I want to see how the stock market is gonna do on Tuesday. No, on Monday.
On Monday, like today, like
yeah.
the bell rings in 45 minutes. So you're wondering how it's going to open?
I think it's going to tank.
It closed pretty down last week. Let's see if we can give a minute or two on the delay to see if Dan can tell us whether he thinks Trump's going to win it outright or whether he thinks it's going to go to a court system, because I'd really like his input on that. You think Monday morning the stock market is going to tank? I think you're probably right on that. We could probably look at the after hours trading in the S&P 500. The left one is for plastic bottles. I am not a hippie. I don't recycle, but the poor in Vietnam collect cans and bottles, and so I separate them out and give them to the woman who sells cigarettes at the foot of my door, and she gives it to a scavenger. No, at the basement of my apartment would be it. All right, Dan's got something. That's the question. I'm not real sure. I'd say outright landslide if I had to say. I was agreeing with you up until I saw these crazy preliminary votes. These 92 million votes cast before Election Day.
Can you try and find a banking stocks? Like the thinking is what matters.
S&P 500 and NASDAQ are conglomerates of both the NASDAQ and the NYSE, so I would say they matter pretty good.
I mean, yeah, but like, I'm talking about like Wells Fargo and JP Morgan.
I think these we can look at them in a second, but these aggregates are more important. Let's throw this up just so.
I need to pee. I'll be back.
All right, I'll probably end it before you're going. All right, before you're back. We're already 15 minutes over. All right, so I'm just going to show this real quick here. Oh, no. Yeah, so we're only down 1% in the after. Oh, no, sorry, that was what closed on October 30th. So Friday, and then data. We're up in after hours trading. We're up 1.1%, recovering from Friday's losses. However it goes, the elite will milk to the benefit of themselves, not us. That is very true, Dan. Buy gold and silver because our dollar is on its very, very last legs. I want to thank you again so much for watching, everybody. Please go ahead and share this video. No, don't share this one. It was terrible. Share other ones. Our first one was pretty good, and let everyone know we've already got it scheduled on our channel tomorrow. Our election coverage is going to be hilarious as we drink and enjoy ourselves. And Dan, keep your chin up because it's about us looking for truth. It's not about what the elite are doing. I love you, brother, and I love everyone out there who's taking the time to listen to my crazy